Glimmer Post deck. So we've got Cloud Posts, Glimmer Posts, and basically you've got your
12 posts.
Your Post, Candelabra, and the awesome Emrakul. You've got Kozilek, and you've got Primeval Titan.
Yep, and on the other side, on your left side, you've got Robert Connolly, and he's playing a fairly traditional Rug Delver list with Delvers, Tarmogoyfs, Nimble Mongoose, and that one of Scavenging Ooze that you're seeing a lot of.
For unusual choices, Robert has one Sensei's Divining Top in his list, and one Dismember, a little unusual but not too crazy. Yep. But that one Sensei's Divining Top will get some work done in the sense that his Delvers are going to be all the better, and any long game he'll do very well. And in the game in hand, we have a Wasteland stopping the Post from going crazy, Candelabra in play versus a Delver.
And Ponder from Robert. And that should set up the Delver to flip next turn. Passes back over. And that Vesuva is not doing what it's supposed to do without a Locust in play. So Tropical Island passes over, reveals Lightning Bolt, flips his Delver over.
For those of you who are curious, Robert Connolly's list is 0 Stifles. In with the Insect.
A lot of discussions this morning with David Shields was putting together a deck, Matthew Costa was putting together a deck, and they were trying to figure out how many Stifles one of the Rug players in their group should be playing, and how many Forked Bolts. A lot of discussion about the choices that are made. A lot of the cards, people are on the same page about playing them, but the numbers, there's a lot of discussion.
Maze of Ith. This is game 3. So this 12 post list that Daniel is playing here, he actually was able to put up a fight against Rug Delver, so that's not something to sneeze at. And he is in contention, though again, on the outskirts, he's in contention for potentially making it into the top 8 here.
Both Robert and Daniel are at 6-1 right now. So Robert fetching up a Tropical Island after getting in for 4. Or getting in, and then Maze of Ith brings the Insectile Aberration back out. Only 1 damage coming in, but here's a Tarmogoyf from Robert. And that Tarmogoyf has sorcery and land.
Look at that. Repeal.
And now instant.
1 mana, the repeal on the flipped Delver.
That's actually come up a lot this weekend. A flipped Delver's converted mana cost is 0 since it has none. That came up a lot with Ratchet Bomb in Standard and Pernicious Deed today. Vesuva is going to make another Maze of Ith.
Wall of Tanglecord amongst the possible sideboard cards for Daniel Hall. 2 Maze of Iths in play. With that Candelabra, that actually acts like 3 Maze of Iths. Untap. 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 That's really insane.
And Daniel says, you didn't really want to attack me, did you?
That's really absurd. Oh, boy.
And so he knows he wants to pay 1. He's just not sure what he wants to do it for. He has another Candelabra in his hand. He's got a Sensei's Divining Top.
I like the top.
And the top's
He's going to take 1 or 3 damage, depending, as things stand, unless Robert Connolly has a Wasteland here. Robert Connolly does have a Life from the Loam in his in his 75 cards. So if he brought in Life from the Loam, he could potentially waste Daniel out. I wouldn't be surprised. Brainstorm, brainstorm.
And Daniel is running 25 land, so it's surprising to see him so short right now.
And his next draw, he's very likely to get one off of that top.
With only 1 land that actually produces mana, he's in a fairly awkward position right now.
I think he's still very fine. I mean, and there are no price of progresses in Robert Connolly's deck, so he's gonna have to work really hard to get the damage in. And Brainstorm main phase. Both these players, X and 1, going into this 8th round. I really wish I owned 4 Candelabra. I would be trying to make High Tide work.
Robert, taking a little while to make this decision, got to figure out what to put back. Passes back over.
Upkeep, we're probably going to see the top work.
Yep. Time to go find a land, Daniel.
Huh. I don't know if he found one. Oh, he did, but not a very exciting one.
Now that is an Eye of Ugin.
That was very unlucky for Daniel.
Now I don't think that Eye even taps for mana.
It does not. It
So
reduces
Daniel
the cost.
with 4 lands on the board and access to only 1 mana. I don't think that happens very often.
Not so often. He knows 2 of those cards on top as well, so that's not very good for him. Another Brainstorm. Robert would be happy to find a Wasteland here. He'd be happy to find a Life from the Loam, for that matter.
So Robert does have, it looks like, a couple of red elemental blasts in his hand right now. Still waiting to put 2 cards back.
I was wondering if he was trying to go for Ancestral there.
And those red cards are in, I'm not sure, they're to counter spells. There's 4 Trinket Mages, but there's also the 4 Show and Tells, 2 Repeals, but not a whole lot of targets for those.
Here comes
those
9
red elemental
damage.
blasts.
It's going to be reduced to 3 by by this.
By the Army of Mazes.
I almost feel like because he can only have access to 1 fresh card, that Daniel should take a pause on using the Sensei's Divining Top during the upkeep, and instead, oh boy.
That's interesting.
Grip, grip, grip. Goodbye, Sensei's Divining
So
Top.
Robert will make that decision for him.
There you go, never mind. And now Daniel basically is in a position where there are 0 attackers that Robert can get through with, at least right now.
That Wall of Tanglecord is not going to do very much. So, pass back over. And Daniel, playing one of the heavier land bases in the format, still having mana issues.
I mean, he's only running 25 land, and then he sideboards in at least one of these lands in play.
All right, so
Maze, maze, maze.
you didn't really want to attack. At least the lands that he does have.
Oh boy, a top again.
And the question is whether or not he wants to just sit on this or whether he wants to be aggressive. He essentially would be losing three life to play that top.
I see a crop rotation. He can rotate his eye into a real land.
He also has a Kozilek.
Ancient Grudge on the Candelabra. Crop rotation.
On the eye.
Does that work? How many cards do you have? A lot.
And
Daze.
Daze. Daze is a sad, sad
Dead
thing on
Candelabra. Back to you. Land. In for 9? No, how about 3? Actually, it's in for 10, I believe now. How about 3?
Now, as long as there's a maze on the field, we're not too concerned about how big that Tarmogoyf is because it's big enough that it's going to be mazed. There
Look at
is
this.
a land, though.
Second mana-producing land for Daniel Hall, finally.
That's exciting. Now he can lay out the Candelabra and once again shut down the full attack.
Yeah, I like that play, honestly. His life is getting too low to be able to, I think, do anything other. But he does have to worry about that Ancient Grudge is in the yard. Remember, the Ancient Grudge is in the yard, so that's not going to do that fully.
Yep.
Yeah.
He also does have a wall of Tangle Cord, which will essentially, it should bait the Ancient Grudge. Or
Wall
at least that's
of
what he's trying to
Tangle
do,
Cord.
because otherwise he's going to sit there, block the Tarmogoyf, and he can use the maze on the 2 Insectile Aberrations and do exactly what we were thinking about doing with the Candelabra.
Yet another. Okay,
Robert
look
will
at this.
continue to delve.
Block. No.
Will have no damage. Thank you. No damage. Daniel counting up the damage that is not going to happen.
It's so amazing that Wall of Tanglecord is good enough to be seeing play in a high-powered format like this. Ooh, Chalice.
I'm not sure that Chalice does anything for him right now. There's the Candelabra. And that kind of gives him redundancy because Robert now needs to flash back the Ancient Grudge, and he's going to hit the Candelabra because he knows that down the line that's going to be more important if this game does keep going. And so let's see whether or not can flip for Lightning Bolt. That's really
I'm pretty
tough.
sure that that's it. Only 2 of these, 3 of these creatures can be stopped. 1 will get through.
Daniel looks at his hand. Looks like he's going to be going to 4. He knows that Robert has a Lightning Bolt. We don't know whether he has another.
Bolt.
There's Bolt and
Bolt.
Bolt.
Dead
And
Daniel
hand.
Hall. That's
All
the
right.
handshake.
And Daniel just could not dig himself out of a mana-screwed draw.
Yeah.
He was just short.
I think he would have won if he hadn't been unable to find a land with that Sensei's Divining Top.
That when he topped and the only land that he hit was the Eye of Ugin that wasn't able to give him any more flexibility with his mana,